know what you're doing right, but there's a lot of it. So
Yeah, there must be something.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think we're at that point in the season where there are some good things going on, but there are plenty of things that we have to keep working on, like all teams. We've taken advantage of opportunities for the most part where we could, and we've been very reliable and worked tremendously hard as a group to try and keep our goal intact. The weekend's result, I think, offered up a new quality for the group, and that was perseverance. In the early stages, we certainly had chances to get in front. Memphis did a terrific job of keeping their goal intact for a good portion of the game, but you know, credit to my guys, they kept at it. They kept asking questions, and in the end we were able to break the deadlock. And I always felt if we were to get ourselves in front, it might offer us the opportunity to extend that lead. And I wasn't aware that it would happen so quickly, but I still felt we would get a couple of goals at the weekend if we could get the first, and that was to be proved right.
You, I don't know if you're a guy who looks at the standings, especially this early in the year. They're probably kind of meaningless to a certain extent, but you look up and you guys, after a couple wins, are right up there in third place.
Yeah, I honestly, I think any team that can put back-to-back wins together can put themselves in a good spot. I don't look at it very often. I'm normally around 8 games. I start to have a look at where teams are settling into a bit more of a rhythm and a maybe a scenario that you might start to see throughout the season. But I think even then, the middle part of the season tells us an awful lot. You know, teams have played, what will it be, 16 games at that point, and you tend to get a good idea of how consistent groups are going to be. There's a lot of teams that are very, very tight at the moment. Obviously, one or two that are still looking to get their first win. But as I said, there'll be lots of things to work on. We're no different. Relationships are still forming. It's nice to score some goals and keep clean sheets because it gives the group confidence. But we know full well, with 3 away games back to back now, we've got some tests coming up.
What is it going to be for you, or what is it going to take for you guys to kind of bring that home form onto the road? Obviously, you performed very well against Ottawa, but how do you continue that going forward in these next 3 away?
Well, I'm sensing some real good feelings and feel-good factor within the group. I do honestly think that a foundation of our group has to be that work ethic, that team understanding and resolve, because it creates so many good moments. Yes, there's a lot to be done with the ball, but that side of the game, I think we're improving every week. We created, I think it was 21 crosses in the game. I forget how many, 17 efforts at goal and 7 on target, 16 and 7. You know, we're starting to see more productivity out of our play. There's definitely more purpose and more positivity to it. The players have taken on board the 2 forwards and the good flank play really well. But I do honestly think if you go into any game thinking that you're just going to outplay the other team and not concentrating on setting a good foundation in the game and making life difficult and really putting the other team under pressure, I think that you can't recover that. You know, you've gone into the game in the wrong way, and at the moment I think we're in a good place. The players are really attacking it well. There's plenty to be grateful for at the moment in terms of goals and clean sheets, so you would expect there's a nice confidence.
You made kind of a tactical shift for the last couple of games, going with more of a pure 4-4-2. What was behind that? Was it kind of just the personnel getting healthy in that way?
Exactly that. I think we've got some very good forwards. We signed 2 excellent forwards in the off-season. We have got very, very capable forwards ourselves that we obviously retained from last year. And those guys are showing as you might have expected them to. Tucker and Rapapa at this point, they're also capable of finding the back of the net. So we've got some nice dimensions. Tucker's physicality, we've got the pace and the power of Rapapa, and I think Cameron and Daniel offer something very different. That their history tells us that they will find the back of the net more often than not, but I think they're different to the other two guys. You throw into that equation, Carlton's capable of playing up there, Lebo as a full striker, and you know, we've got some really nice options. So that was really in my mind when we shifted. The 2-week break enabled us to work it a bit more. As we move forward, I think there will be games where we have to change that. There's certain scenarios, whether that's field type or team's shape, tactics, that we may need to shift as we go into each game. But at the moment, it looks good, and we'll have a chat about the weekend and what that looks like, given the health of players and obviously the tactical shape of our team that we're playing against.
Are you hopeful that Cameron will be back soon?
Yeah, he's had a little niggly hamstring. It's nothing serious. I'd like to think that he won't be far away from being part of the group this weekend, but we'll have to see how this week's work goes. You know, we're trying to just make sure that rather than rushing him back, that he feels confident about the injury, and whenever called upon, he's going to be comfortable with that.
You go from playing one of the newest teams in USL to one of the kind of long-standing teams in lower division US soccer in the Charleston Battery. Is there going to be a shift in that, or is it more you just look at what the Battery is and what they do?
Well, year on year, they're in the playoffs. Mike's done a terrific job there for many years. They know what this league's all about. I think looking at their roster, they've kept quite a considerable amount of the guys from last year. I know 2 or 3 lads have disappeared, and you know, maybe 1 or 2 injuries like all teams. But all in all, they're good at home. They've made a franchise out of being good at home and dealing with that very good field, good surface, good size field. Mike's always got them very well organised, and they've normally got some good dimensions to their group. And they've started the season well. I know they got beat last week, but they've started off very nicely, and I expect a really difficult game. It was tough for us there last year. I don't see anything different other than a really competitive game this weekend, and you know, we're in a good place. Mentally, we're in a good spot, so I'm hopeful we can produce.
Obviously, teams have played very few games, including some who have played fewer than others. But does it surprise you at this point to see Charleston kind of below that playoff line when they're in the playoffs so regularly, as you mentioned?
Yeah, but as we've just mentioned, I think teams take a little bit longer to hit their full stride. I know they've had 1 or 2 injuries and omissions, and they'll be looking for some fluidity within the group. You look around, Louisville are below the line. You expect them to be below it at the end of the year. So, you know, we're really early on. I honestly think that the mid-stage of the season is a bit of a benchmark. And up until then, you'll see teams that go on a nice little run, and you'll see some results that maybe sort of make you scratch your head. But in the main, I think you'll start to see teams get closer to what they're about by the midpoint.